conflict, violence, and wars. We are bombarded every day of our lives with images and information surrounding these atrocities. Everyone here would agree that war is an absolute tragedy, and we don't want it. War never determines who is right, only who is left. So clearly, it's not the way to solve an argument. Now, I ask you to take a moment to think carefully about conflict today. What countries spring to mind? Personally, for me, I think of Afghanistan and Iraq. Apart from being war zones, what do these countries have in common? They're both Middle East, they're both predominantly Islamic, they are both filled with women who are almost entirely uneducated. I believe educating these women is the key to peace in these countries. Education is essential to the maintenance of peace. It's supposed to grow and develop our children into problem solvers and leaders and everything that we need to build strong future governments. But when you only educate half of your children's leaders, it creates a huge imbalance within your future governments. And thus, educating women is the key to maintaining peace. In Afghanistan, only 15% of women can read and write. 1 woman for every 5 men receives tertiary education, and in Iraq it's 3 for every 5. Here we're seeing huge amounts of leadership potential go completely to waste. Without an education, the values and perspectives of these young girls aren't developed, and they don't have the confidence to speak out and share their ideas for a better world because they are left thinking they are stupid. We only need to look at examples such as Malala Yousafzai to realise the wasted potential. She is one of the lucky girls who received an education. And look at her now, only 16, and she's a worldwide advocate for peace, equality, and most importantly, education. Malala once so beautifully said, "My goal is not to get the Nobel Peace Prize. My goal is to get peace. And my goal is to see the education of every child." She epitomises selflessness and wisdom, things that are essential to a peaceful country. What a wonderful leader she will be. Sadly though, we can't expect to see many leaders like her if an effort is not made to educate more Afghani and Iraqi girls. There is plenty of evidence to show that women are underrepresented in the workforce and the government in Afghanistan and Iraq. In Afghanistan, women make up about 27.6% of parliament. These women, however, have literally no credibility within these specialist areas of work. They're there because they're required by law to be, not because they're valued. In Iraq, it's even worse. Women make up 2% of the private sector, and even though Article 47 of the Iraqi constitution clearly states that 25% of council representatives have to be women, there is one singular female minister out of 44 men. So why aren't women making it into these powerful roles? Partly because of the same prejudice that denies them education, but largely because they didn't receive that education in the first place. How can we expect women to use their leadership potential and spread their ideas for peace like Malala when they are denied the same basic rights to education that men receive? And it's not just a woman's right to education that is undermined, it's her potential skills to incite change. How many of you here today would happily raise your hands in agreement if I said women and men are the same? None of you. Because women are different, and that's a really good thing. We have different values and perspectives, and we see the world in an entirely different way. I believe getting women into government in Afghanistan and Iraq would massively shake up how those countries are run, and ultimately bring peace. Now, throughout the duration of my speech, I'm sure many of you have been thinking, okay, well, isn't this a bit sexist? What makes you think women are going to maintain peace? What can a woman bring to the table that a man can't? Well, sorry, but here's the proof. But first, a warning. The things I'm about to say may shock, so I ask specifically all the men here to relax and please try not to take it too hard. Women have better brains than men.
Good stuff.
Sure, men's brains have their merits, but when it comes to the best brain for peaceful leadership, the woman's brain wins hands down. In a man, the right cerebral hemisphere is larger than the left. This, along with testosterone, makes men more aggressive and more impulsive. When challenged, they find it hard to see any resolution except violence. In a woman's brain, however, the two cerebral hemispheres are perfectly symmetrical, meaning not only are we less aggressive and less impulsive, but our two cerebral hemispheres are able to communicate more easily, giving us greater ability to communicate and process words. Women have a larger frontal cortex and limbic cortex, meaning we're better able to take into consideration emotions, while men tend to overlook them. Women problem solve through teamwork, while men problem solve alone. And women are biologically wired to avoid conflict. Now, wouldn't you all agree that these sound like the qualities for wise leaders? Leaders with empathy, leaders who are open-minded, leaders who understand their people, leaders who achieve peace with intellect and not violence. It is absurd that Iraq and Afghanistan deny their women of a right to education when they have the opportunity to grow and nurture a whole army of women who solve conflict with their minds as opposed to their might. Sorry boys, but girls win this round. So, education and the maintenance of peace. What is to be done? Quite simply, educate women. A woman's brain is invaluable in a leadership role. Iraq and Afghanistan are leaving their girls behind. They're not educated and they're virtually non-existent within the government. As a result, their government lacks non-violent ideas for peace, because men seem to choose to repeat history rather than look to new ideas. A woman's calm, caring, and thoughtful voice is desperately needed within these countries, but it's not going to be heard unless we do something to ensure their educational rights are met. We all need to be standing up and saying, hey, we believe in female education, we believe in the power of women, we believe in their rights. We need to give overwhelming support to activists like Malala, encourage them to learn and get into power one day. The world needs to stop sending troops over and start sending glorious, educated women. Because war does not determine who is right, only who is left.
I want to say a very special thank you to Katie for sharing that winning speech from the United Nations. It was a national one and we can understand why. Well done, and we are looking forward to seeing what you do in the future with your career. I think Leanne's taking notes as well. So thank you very much.